Endoscopy is very attractive for surgeons, and many surgeons are interested in endoscopy, and also the patients. Patients love laser, robots, and endoscopy, and they always ask for these things. There's a big market, and if I do a tubular surgery in my institution in Spain, nobody gets money from that. I mean, no companies involved, but if we do it endoscopically, they charge like between 2,000 to 4,000, and I think that's a lot of money to do courses and to do research. And so there's many of these courses on endoscopy, but still, if you see, the adoption of endoscopy is not very popular, and some surgeons say that they will need around 300 surgeries to feel they are comfortable. So Mohammed will tell you that it's a very easy operation, but probably it's for him, but not for most of the surgeons. No? So TLIF is an evolution of PLIF, and the funny thing is that minimal invasive TLIF started with endoscope through a tube, went to microscope, and now we're going back to an endoscope through a tube. So surgical technique of MIS TLIF is two steps. One is percutaneous screws, and the other one is the decompression and putting a cage. No? And we can do that through a great variety of blade retractors, tubular retractors, expandable tubes, or whatever. And I prefer the rigid tubes. I think they are more versatile, and there are a lot of reasons to use them. MIS TLIF through tubes with a microscope or exoscope or even with loops is a very well standardized technique, so it's very reproducible, and I think it's quite easy to learn, and we have been teaching it in a lot of courses, and we see a lot of surgeons that they do very well with this technique. So the phases are very well known, so positioning of the patient, soft tissue dissection, opening the facet capsule. At this point, we bring the microscope or the exoscope. We have now using the exoscope for a lot of these tubular cases. Resection of the inferior facet, resection of the superior facet of the inferior vertebra. Discectomy. This is very important because the better discectomy we do, the better fusion we will have. And this is something that maybe with endoscopes is more difficult to do, especially in some tricky cases. So probably it's not surgery for everyone. If you do through it an endoscope, but through a tube, 18 or 22 millimeters diameter is very easy for most of the surgeon. And then bone graft, and this is another big difference between endoscopy and tubes. Through a tube, you are able to put bigger amount of bone graft, and this is, of course, something relevant for the fusion. And then a structural implant, again, when you're doing through an endoscope, most of the time, if you want to put a bigger cage, you need an expandable cage, and then we have some problems related to expandable cages and also the prices and all those things. Through a tube, you can use a bigger cage, and also you can put quite easily even a banana cage, and this is something that is relevant for lordosis. Then additional decompression, if required. With the tube, it's very easy to tilt the table, tilt the tube, and do a contralateral complete laminectomy. Even you can do a contralateral facetectomy if you tilt the tube, depending on the case. But with the endoscope, again, this is very, very difficult to do. And then final closing and so forth. So there are different technical variations of the MIS TLIF. It depends on the type of implants you use. It depends if you use 1 or 2 X-rays, or of course now we love navigation. With navigation, this has decreased the probability of having a problem with the incorrect position of the screws, and also gives a lot of good orientations, especially during the learning curve for the discectomy and cage insertion. This is a typical spondylolisthesis case with stenosis that we do through a MIS TLIF. So in terms of learning curve and reproducibility, MIS tubular has a shorter learning curve, and I think it's quite more easy to learn. In terms of disc preparation and graft handling, MIS tubular has a wider working channel, so we can put much more bone graft inside, and we can do a better end plate preparation. In terms of our cage size, we can deliver a much better lordotic cage, bigger cage, and a banana cage through a tube, so we can have a better correction of lordosis. There are some studies showing that one of the best ways to gain lordosis with MIS TLIF is the position of the cage. This with endoscopy is not very easy for most of the surgeons. Definitely in terms of TLIF and lordosis, probably endoscopic TLIF is the most difficult way to deliver lordosis or to give lordosis to a patient. In terms of operative efficiency, as Roger showed in one of his slides, MIS or tubular has a shorter operative time and also lower cost. The endoscopic cases, you need special devices, you need a tower, and so definitely there's some amount of money that the hospital needs to spend. MIS tubular can solve most of the cases, or I would say every case can be done through a tube, but definitely endoscopy TLIF is not so easy for complex cases and not in everybody's hands. So I will remark this as the final message. So learning curve is better for MIS tube. Reproducibility is better for MIS tube. Dish preparation is better for MIS tube. Case size, graft packing, segmental lordosis, decompression, operative time, fluoroscopy, versatility, equipment cost, conversion to mini-open, adaptability. They are better for the tubes. All the meta-analysis published show that the radiological and long-term outcomes in terms of clinics, they are similar, so there's not a big advantage in terms of outcomes for the endoscopic TLIF. And endoscopic surgeons will tell you that the amount of blood loss is less with the endoscopic, yes, but it is not clinical relevant. And the length of stays is shorter with the endoscope, yes, but it's not clinical relevant. Probably patients can be discharged in 1 day. There are some papers showing, especially in the US, because in Europe, staying at the hospital 1 or 2 days, people love to be there, especially in the Mediterranean countries. They love to be in the hospital, but definitely there's no big difference between 1 or 2 days and 1 day. So my take-home message finally will be that probably endoscopic will be a very fashion technique. It's a futuristic technique. And probably it will be good in the hands of some very specialized surgeons, but for the general patient, for the general hospitals, and for most of the spine surgeons, definitely MIS tubes are the technique to be chosen. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the honor of being here. It's always a great honor to be here. I'm the one guilty of making the 80 slides, but I put it down to 40 slides. So we're going to talk about mini open versus endoscopic TLIFs. Here are my disclosures. So I have to agree, there's a lot of hype about endoscopy. You look everywhere, everybody's talking about endoscopy and so on. And so, you know, one of the things that when you see about the hype is that, you know, they have this kind of hype, and then there's disillusionments. And really it's where we go, how low we get in this disillusionment, well, whether we're going to cross that chasm of people adopting it and so on. You know, Dr. Parajón, he started off, a young guy. I found this picture of you when you were much younger. I think you were here as a fellow. And he and Dr. Hartle had to fight a war, right? They had to fight against the dinosaurs. He was a maverick at that time. And he had to fight the dinosaurs at that time, the open people. And they said open surgery is better visualization, faster, patients do better. And they fought a good war for us, right? And remember, those dinosaurs weren't these friendly dinosaurs. They're more like these people here. And so, you know, they've done a great job looking at how to do this surgery better and make MIS TLIFs and tubular TLIFs a good surgery. And really, you know, we stand on your shoulders. So we're gonna, you know, I have to have a disclaimer. I do both tubular and endoscopic TLIFs. And when I first got to Duke, I wanted to do everything percutaneous and everything endoscopic. But then when we started studying, we started to see that using, you know, advanced imaging and so on, that not every patient is able to have an endoscopic TLIF. If you have a Camden's triangle that's only 6 millimeters big, you're not going to be able to do a good decompression. You're not going to be able to put a good cage and so on. So I actually shifted a little bit from endoscopic to more tubular as we studied things more. So we started to do more of these tubular TLIFs. I use this transfacet trajectory. We kind of studied this and so on. And we're using our kind of neurosurgery anatomy, learning. I went to neurosurgery, wanted to be a functional neurosurgeon, so I was really interested in how the nerves move and so on. So we started doing this nerve mapping. And we had all these nice pictures. So what does this mean for the patient? Really, it means that when we choose which TLIF to do, we have an algorithm to do it. And Dr. Pimenta taught me how to do the prone lateral. So for multiple levels and deformity and so on, well, you need to still use the anterior and the lateral approaches. But when we have one or two levels, let's be more specific, right? Our patients deserve better. So what we do actually is we measure Camden's triangle using this software. And we see, is Camden's triangle big enough to allow for us to go into there safely? If not, then I'm going to go with Dr. Parajón's way. I'm going to do it tubular. I'm going to do it transfacet. I'm going to do a decompression. So here's an example. We measure this transcambon. It's only 7 millimeters. Through the transfacet, it's 11 millimeters. That's going to be big enough for me to do a good decompression, to put a big cage in there. So that case we do. We're actually doing a lot of new technology where we put in the screws. We have a pre-op MRI. We merge the MRI to the CT scan. And so we're talking about futuristic transtubular TLIFs now, where right now we actually overlay the preoperative MRI to the CT scan that you're there. And so when you're under the microscope, and I learned this from Dr. Hartle as well, you're no longer Iron Man, you're a spine man or spine woman. So actually under the microscope, I learned how to do the transfacet with John Chi. He used to tell me, don't go too medial, don't go too lateral. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. But now we actually can overlay the nerves through the bone, so I can actually tell the resident fellow, you're going too medial, you're going too lateral. I can actually do it scientifically. And then I think Dr. Hartle has also shown this. So we can actually put these large cages in with ALIF type of footprints through posterior ways. So I'm with Dr. Parajón. If it's a case where Camden's triangle is too small, do it tubular, because it's going to be best for the patient. However, now if Camden's triangle is big enough, there are other options. And so I liked Dr. Fu, who talked about earlier using the percutaneous TLIF. So here's an example. We measure here, Camden's on the 6 millimeters on the right. On the left, it's 9 millimeters. That's going to be big enough for me to do most of my disc work, put in a good cage. So what we can do actually is, again, we can merge the intraop CT to the pre-op MRI, and just like we're doing a brain biopsy, we can actually go in there and actually enter the disc completely percutaneously. You can see here we're avoiding the exiting nerve root and the traversing nerve root. And you can actually put in nice cages in there. We've shown that our fusion rate is above 90%. So this is the TLIF algorithm that we're using now. It's not every person gets the same surgery. It's based on anatomy, learning how each patient is their anatomy, and that's what we base our decision on, not based on technique, but based on what the patient's anatomy is. We also just published this paper, and I agree with Dr. Parajón that if you are trying to do a deformity correction or get lordosis, right, you're probably not going to get as much of it through the endoscopic way. So this paper looked at that. We also showed, and this is important, for those people that need, are in the United States and so on, we have an opioid epidemic, right? These patients, if you do it the transcambon or the percutaneous way, they take about 40% less opioids. That's a big issue, right? And so definitely that, those patients use about 40% less opioids when you do it the transcambon way, because there's less muscle disruption. You're not drilling as much and so on, so you're not changing things up a little bit. So in the scope of things, I don't think actually it's supposed to be tubular versus endoscopic. It's doing the right surgery for the right patient at the right time. So I think patient-specific and pathology-specific planning is for TLIF is very helpful. I think that the answer, again, is based on not surgeon preference, not which hammer you have, but what the patient presents with. And with that, I'll conclude. Thank you.